Well, after a week-long break, the Outlander Season 7 finale is finally here, and what an emotional episode it was. With the core themes of the episode feeling like it was centered around death, connecting with family, and also rebirth. This episode made us bid farewell to a few characters, whilst also seeing that the very death that we saw needed to happen in order for the story to progress and allow Claire to be linked with a family member that she didn't even know she had. So with that, let's dive into the episode, which was titled 100,000 Angels, and break down all that there was to take away from it. Here is Outlander Season 7 Episode 16, Ending Explained. Just to let you know, this video will contain spoilers. Who is Frances? Well, we first met Frances through Jane, who William met whilst at a brothel, and he was intimate with her. However, we didn't realise the importance that both Jane and Frances would have by the time the end of the season came around. During this episode, we saw focus being put on families reconnecting, and we witnessed it with Bree arriving in the early 1700s to be reunited with Roger. We saw it with William, with him going to Lord John for help, and also to Jamie to get help too. Bree when Mr. Fraser was shocked to see her because she reminded him of his late wife Ellen. And we saw it most importantly with Frances when she was singing I Do Like to Be Beside the Seaside, a song that was made popular in the early 1900s and one that Claire sang to Faith, her stillborn child. Hence why she was confused as to why Frances would have known the song, as it was popularized long after the time period that she was living in. The only way she would have known it would be from a time traveler, or if it was Faith, and seeing though Faith could have been a Fraser, it could mean both. Another connection between Frances and Claire was the photo of Frances's mother, which was inside of a locket which had Faith engraved on the back of it, insinuating that her mother's name was Faith, which coincidentally was the same name as Claire and Jamie's daughter that died. So all fingers are currently pointing towards Faith, Frances's mother, being Jamie and Claire's daughter, and that she didn't actually die like what she believed happened. This could be why Master Raymond appeared in a vision during the night and said that he would see Claire again, because Claire may well go back to Paris to see if Faith did in fact survive and go on to have a life, so they might not be heading to the Ridge like what was originally planned. This is a massive twist if it is the case, and one that's long been on the horizon since season 2 of the show when the episode happened. That's almost 6 seasons in the making. There have been rumours in the past from novel readers that have questioned if this could well be the case, especially after the two characters were first introduced, and now it looks like the showrunners are going to lean into it and go down that pathway. The way that Jamie and Claire just took Frances under their wing before even knowing this was something that showed the kind-hearted nature that they both have. I thought Frances going to live with them was almost going to be like a metaphorical and symbolic representation of Claire having a mother and daughter relationship, seeing as though she was denied that chance with Faith. But it seems like that relationship is going to be closer to home than she realised. Jamie and William. Jamie spent the most part of this episode by his wife's side as Claire was healing following her being wounded in Crossfire. But the part of the story where Jamie stepped aside and repaired his relationship with his son William was definitely the most interesting. William wanted to rescue Jane following her being arrested for killing Captain Harkness, and that took center stage. She was going to be executed for her crimes, and on the night where William and Jamie went to rescue her, she actually ended things for herself. Before she did, she looked up at the stars in the sky, sang I Do Like to Be Beside the Seaside, and waved. This was what the episode was named after, 100,000 Angels. Because Jane's mother, which we're presuming is Faith, said to her that if you look up at the lights in the sky, it's 100,000 angels, and if you give them a wave, then they'll take you up to heaven. The flashback at the start of the episode was her being with her mother and Frances when they were younger, something which was made more clear when Frances mentioned the dragonflies. So it felt like Jane was going to be with her mother following her waving. The theme of death, with Jamie even saying, the idea of being with the people that you lost makes death seem less painful when Claire was talking about death, was something that I think was true with Jane. When William got to Jane, it was sadly too late, and we saw that he did truly care for her and wanted to save her. I really wanted William to have a happy ending with her because she did give him a sense of grounding, and we saw a different side to the character with Jane, but it just wasn't meant to be. However, it seems like William and Jane meeting had a larger purpose, one which is going to connect two sides of the family that Claire didn't even know existed. William and Jamie had a moment in this episode too, where William acknowledged that Jamie was his biological father, but he did say that he'd never call him that. I'd say even acknowledging him showed growth and development between the pair, especially with Jamie saying that he didn't regret that William's mother died because it meant that William was born. William also went to Lord John for advice, showing that both people that he viewed as a father no longer had conflict associated with them. Bree and Roger. Bree and Roger had such a small involvement in this finale, and I thought that it was a bit of a shame. The whole Rob Cameron storyline deserved a bit more attention in my opinion, especially considering it was what was at the heart of the mid-season finale. With Bree being in the early 1700s with Roger and her realizing that she didn't quite want to go back to 1980, but instead she wanted to be with her mother and father, it looks like the family might be going forward a few decades to be reunited with Jamie and Claire. Personally, I think that makes sense, especially considering we're going to be going into the final season of the show. I feel we have to see them all on screen together as one, maybe with the intention of Bree and Roger going back to the 1980s towards the end. William mentioned Bree when he was with Jamie and the fact that she was his sister, so we could see a whole family reunion type thing taking place towards the end of the season now that everybody knows who they're related to. Plus, Bree could also be an auntie now with Francis in the picture. Ian and Rachel. Like Bree and Roger, Ian and Rachel didn't have that large of an involvement either. Their involvement was mainly focused around them going to North Carolina during the ending to set up their own life together now that they were married. Plus, we also found out that Rachel was carrying a child and was going to be giving birth, so Ian and Rachel were going to have their own little family to look after. However, sticking to the theme of death, which was at the core of the episode, Ian woke up and saw that Rolo, his loyal companion that had been with him through everything, had passed away during the night. It's so devastating losing an animal, especially when they feel like part of the family and have been with you through everything. So that was a sad moment to watch. Ian mentioned how he felt as though Rolo waited until he found happiness with Rachel and until he knew that he almost didn't need to rely on him anymore, and it was a sad scene to watch for sure. With them going to North Carolina, it's going to be interesting to see how their story's going to develop when the show returns for its final season. My review of the finale. I thought this was a strong season finale. I liked the slow pace of it. It wasn't a season finale that was relying on action, battles, or drama. It took it at a real slow pace and allowed the story to unfold and develop in front of us whilst giving a heavy focus on conversation. The twist with Francis is a bold move for the show to make, and it's one that I'm interested to see how they're going to handle. Whilst on the topic of Francis, I just want to say that the performance that she gave when she was in the graveyard was incredible. The emotion that she was delivering, you could really feel the loneliness, emptiness, and grief that she was carrying. It was top tier acting for sure. I'd say that I liked the fact that it felt like family was at the core of this episode, with the reunions that were taking place and the olive branches being passed around. Even with Lord John and Claire, no stone was left unturned and all relationships were repaired in one way or another, so there was a true element of closure. I did still think Jamie was being a bit pathetic around John though, like just move on now Jamie. John nearly died. So it's not really looking like their relationship will ever be the same again, and I think that's a bit of a shame. I was a bit confused that we never really had any closure when it came to the Philadelphia campaign, nor did we see any repercussions for Jamie essentially being a deserter, but maybe that will come in the next season of the show. I actually can't believe we're about to embark on the final season of the show. It's been one hell of a ride, even just this season, but when the show returns we will be bidding farewell to it forever. Something I don't know if I'm ready to do just yet, so I'm glad we've got one more season on the way. So, there you have it, Outlander Season 7 Episode 16, Ending Explained. If you want to see every episode of Outlander Season 7 being broken down, then click on the card in the top corner. There's a playlist there. Or alternatively, you can head over to my channel where you'll find more of your favourite TV series and movies being broken down. What did you think of this episode? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. As always, thanks for tuning into the video and I'll see you in the next one.